Aloha. Welcome back. And I'm so happy you're here. Hi. How are you? How have you been? What have you been up to? I have a super special guest that I'm really excited about. This episode was so much fun to record, and we had a hard time even getting to the subject at hand. Collin Bullock. He is a host of another podcast called Adult Films with Colin and Ron. You should check them out on iTunes or anywhere you can find podcasts. I was a guest on one of them, and our topic was Bill Murray. So if you want to hear me gush about Bill Murray, please check that out. He's also in a band called Titty City. Yeah, that's the name. But Collin is really cool. He's a musician, and he is an intellectual. He's a teacher at the School of Rock, and I think that he's so funny. I met him in a group chat that I was in with a bunch of comedians who had Movie Pass, and we would all kind of like talk about movies and go see movies together whenever we had a chance while that Movie Pass thing was going strong. And so good. Anyone else on that Movie Pass tick until it all imploded in their faces? I was, and that's how I met this hilarious gentleman. And I am so excited for you guys to hear this and see what we have to say to each other about pretty much everything, anything, nothing, potentially him getting arrested. We are on the internet, you guys. Jazz Fuzz, B. Casper, That Time I Got Arrested. You know where the internet is, right? It's in your pocket. Pretty soon it's going to be in your brain. But until then, enjoy listening to this episode on your wireless headphones and imagine that one day you're just going to have a chip inside your head where you blink and it's the internet. Weird. Not yet, but soon. Love you. Love you. My name is B. Casper, and my entire life has been a lie. That's not even my real name. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you all of my secrets. This isn't the story of how I became an orphan. This isn't the story about how I jumped off a 5-story building and survived. This isn't about how I died and came back funny. This is that time I got arrested. Hi, Collin. Hey.
Hey, thanks for having me. We met for the first time.
Just now.
But we've been in the same room before because I know that like I've been at open mics and I forget where we're at that open mic on Milwaukee Avenue where like you can get beer from a tapster, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But the point,
I love that one with the little like tree stumps.
It rules. It's my favorite. It's any restaurant that it removes talking to humans or just reduces that.
Oh, I'm about that.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see that movie WALL-E?
With the little robot.
Yeah, well,
it's
but just
so cute. That movie makes me cry.
It's great. In the future, everyone is just 300 pounds and is in like a little wheelchair that zips through space, and you never talk to anyone and drink everything from a cup. It rules.
That's my present.
My utopian vision. Yes, exactly. That's my dream for a future someday. But I forget why your name was mentioned because it wasn't like I saw you go up, but I knew the host had said you were there or something like that, and I was like,
weird.
I don't know, maybe he was just like, keep an eye over this bitch over here.
Dangerous woman.
I know. Keep an eye. But I saw that and I was like, oh, I know her from that group chat that most people have left because it's just me and Adam Quaslow being irritating.
No, fuck them. I love you guys. I read every single message in there. I don't always participate, but I'm a big fan. And I guess we should explain what this is. So there's a group chat on Facebook that you and I are part of. And I mean, we're super cool because we were in on Movie Pass like in its heyday.
Yeah. I mean, I'm currently the CEO of Movie Pass, so I'm going to need to borrow some cab fare home, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's mad chill. Because I actually had a Movie Pass for almost a year and never got charged for it.
What? How'd you pull this one off?
I don't know. I mean, they're obviously not doing so well because like something is wrong with their tech. But I signed up for like the monthly thing. I paid 1 month and they sent me a card that like didn't work. And so I had to like call the company and have them like activate it. But then when they activated, they must have like thought I was a yearly member because I never got charged again until they did all the changes.
What if that was the only bad business decision they made is they forgot to check the box to charge people money?
Well, I think maybe that's why they ran out of money so fast.
That was the trick.
Yeah.
They go, guys, why did we not think of taking money for people in exchange for goods and services?
Well, and I abused the shit out of it because I saw in like the, 9 or 10 months that I had it before all their policies changed and got sucky. I just canceled mine this month. But like before their policies changed, I must have seen something like 70 movies.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I could see one every day. And this guy I was dating at the time, like we both had one. So we would just like movie pass it up like 3 or 4 times a week.
See, the trick to going to a lot of movies is to having a significant other who wants to go.
Yeah.
Because my girlfriend hates movies like as a concept, not even like individual movies. She's like, why aren't they all 42-minute episodes of The Real Housewives and I can watch them at home?
Okay, well, I like her less, but...
Yeah, I mean, she's terrible. She won't listen to this. We can say whatever we want.
Okay, cool. She seems awful, but Movie Pass...
It is Ivanka Trump. That's who I'm dating. To let you know.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
I've said before, the only things that I agree with Donald Trump about is that Meryl Streep is kind of overrated and his daughter is hot. Those are the only 2 things I agree with Donald Trump about.
I don't know if I agree with either of those things, but Movie Pass is tight. It was tight.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, now we fucks with the AMC A-list.
Right. And so I'm still sort of like newly on the fence because I have a new boyfriend who's like super...
Humble brag.
He's super busy all the time, so he can't just go like see a movie like 3 or 4 times a week like I would like. And so it makes a difference because I don't go as much.
Are you dating Jared Kushner? Can you confirm nor deny?
I can't do either.
That makes total sense. I've noticed you're wearing I was going to say yarmulke. What's the thing they put on their heads?
A yarmulke.
This is venturing close to hate speech.
We got to cut that out.
I'm just done with it all. I wish I could go see more movies. Now, I'll tell you this, I'm a big, and this kind of fits with the theme of this whole podcast, I really like stealing things. I'm a big fan of stealing.
I knew we would get along.
Oh, 100%. It rules. And like, I've had, therapists and like girlfriends and stuff try to like get to the psychology behind it.
No, fuck them.
No, it's dumb. They're just like, do you enjoy the thrill of it? And I'm like, no, I like not paying for things. Paying for things sucks, dude. It rules to not give people money, but get things instead.
Well, I do think that there is like some moral discretion as far as like, if you steal, and this is to you and the listeners, if you steal from a big corporation, steal from like a chain that's bad for the local economy, that's bad to their employees, that outsources all of their items, like, and all of their stuff is made in like China labor sweatshops. So like steal from them, steal all you can from them, as much as you can, as often as you can. They have insurance that like covers like loss prevention. So, I mean, let's really like make the most out of that insurance, you know?
Especially like grocery stores, because I steal a lot of stuff from grocery stores.
That's still too, especially Whole Foods. Steal from Whole Foods
Love
now.
to steal. Let me tell you this. Ariana Freeman, who's in my band Titty City, she said one time she stole a piece of pizza at Whole Foods, like just ate it right there in the store.
Yeah.
Gangster move. Love it.
Well, first of all, I like the audacity of that. Second of all, I do think that all food should be free. I think that we live in a world of abundance, and there's no reason why anyone should A, be hungry, or B, even be charged for food.
I think you're probably correct. I think you're probably true.
Like the government should pay for all of the food to be like grown and manufactured, and all food should be free all of the time.
See, the thing to me is when we sort of, people will talk about kind of, I don't know, communist, Marxist sort of ideas of that nature. I always like them. I always think they're good ideas. But the one sort of libertarian kind of, argument to that always sort of does shake me, where they're like, why do you trust the government to take care of anyone's needs? And I'm like, that is a good point. I do kind of inherently distrust the government.
Same.
So it's hard for me to kind of be like, I look and I see problems and I say there shouldn't be billionaires while people are starving. That's bad.
Correct.
But I don't necessarily trust the state to redistribute the money correctly, Right,
but I think that they could subsidize the labor that's needed to like for basic like growth and manufacturing of like vegetables and and fruit and like livestock, like all of those things could still be like distributed the same way, but you just imagine if like the food was free.
I mean, what I think it is I don't want to give the government control of much, but I do think we need a social safety net for things like healthcare and things like food and things like housing that is literally life or death.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that we need to have this sort of welfare state in place, not to get rid of capitalism, because there are elements of capitalism I like, which is weird. But I think that it's not good for a social policy, and we need to be able to have, like, if you're sick, you can go to a doctor. Now, don't worry, bootlickers. Rich people will still get way better doctors, okay? You can still jerk off on Elon Musk having the best doctor in the fucking world. It's just poor people will also have a doctor.
I mean, I don't know. I'm more like anarchy in the sense where the entire system needs to collapse, and we need to treat all people as like of equal value, you know, from like the day that they're born. I think everyone needs to be given the same amount of value. And like that comes in the form of like healthcare and food and education. And I think all of those things need to be like, I mean, so is that anarchy? Is that socialism? Is that communism? I don't know. I just think everything needs to be fucking chill and free and good.
I mean,
I think that's a utopia. Never mind.
I think that's, first off, I will vote for you for comptroller. I will be your campaign manager if you need one. That sounds like a good platform for me. Well, that would be kind of baller if you do a whole podcast about how you were arrested for drug trafficking and then run for political office and win. That would be some pimp shit.
You know what? I can apply for a pardon of my sentence in 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm getting close to a place in my life where this is not, and granted, the governor would have to like grant my pardon.
And he seems like a really cool, chill dude. I'm sure there'll be no problem with that.
Well, I mean, the former governor that we had was approving like a record number.
Bruce Rauner?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about politics because I am a certified idiot. But wasn't he bad? Didn't everyone dislike him?
Right. But there was some stuff that he was trying that was new that was good. So I mean, no, I don't think anyone is all bad or all good, you know?
That's true, except for Paddington the Bear from Paddington 2. He is all bad.
Okay. Never mind.
He's bad. The new governor is J.B. Pritzker.
Yeah.
Who's very rich, what I don't like. But I'll tell you this.
But he's pro-pot, though.
Sure. That's whenever people are very much like pot should be legal, I'm like, sure, it should be legal because who cares? But I always find that very weird when that's someone's like main issue because like pot, it's technically illegal. No one has any problem finding it. But they arrest a lot of young black people they shouldn't arrest and stuff like that.
Right.
The war on drugs has been a militarized action against the underclass and especially the underclass people of color in America.
Yeah. This
is fucking woke. This podcast is woke as fuck.
Okay. I mean, sure. I would like to think that, wait, I don't know.
Listen, the point is the moon landing was faked. We all know it.
No, that's true. Accurate.
Do you really think the moon landing was faked?
Yes, I do.
Oh, please explain, because my first impulse is to go, that's insane. But I like to keep an open mind about things.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Why do you think it was faked?
Because like everything is fake, man.
Good. Never thought of it that way. I re-up my donations to your campaign for comptroller. I've now donated some Dinesh D'Souza money and I'm going to jail for it. That's a weird reference for everybody out there.
I liked it. Yeah, but I was going to say I'd like to think that I'm woke, but I don't even think that that's a real thing. I just think you're either like a compassionate human being and you understand that like a person is a person or there's some sort of weird like disability in your brain that separates people. And then you're just like, you know, a lesser evolved soul and that's chill. You're just like on a path and like that. So it's like, I think that like everything's fine, but I think that being woke is fake.
I agree. I mean, I think something like, you know, the Gillette ad that recently drove all these weird alt-right trolls crazy.
I didn't see it.
It's a dumb commercial, and not so much for like this. It's criticizing masculinity because like who cares? What is if you're defining yourself by this sort of traditional notion of masculinity? You're fucking 12. You need to grow up. But the fact that like this company who
That's woke.
Exactly. But like this company that its whole point is profit, which is not, that's just the system it's operating in, not say fuck you. But the idea is like for them to sort of claim any sort of social progressiveness is for them to sort of explicitly claim like, profit can go to the side. We're all about helping people. And it's like, no, fuck you. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, well, everyone's lying to you all the time, though.
You're exactly correct.
Especially corporations. That's why I think that essentially everything needs to be free so that people will stop lying. But
I fear that if we remove profit motive, we're going to remove a lot of sort of the, you know, progress that comes from competition.
Right, but I don't think we need profit anymore. I think that we live in a culture and like a world of excess where we're creating constantly more than we need. And the separation of people having more and people having less is really just like a mental agreement that we're all participating in. Like sort of whether you like it or not, you're agreeing that like money has value. You know, and I think that we need to all agree that money doesn't have value, that resources have value, and like alter our society so that we stop polluting and destroying the environment so we can all continue to live, and B, start taking the excess that we have and distributing it to a point that's fair and equal, because every single person is valuable, and like not letting people reach their potential is essentially like oppressing our entire species as a whole. So it doesn't make sense why we're doing the things the way that we're doing, but it's like, how do you convince every individual person to just be like, hey, you know what? Money's not real. We're just going to fucking do it together. And let's organize a system where that can be done effectively so that everyone can like, you know, you can have what you have and you can have what you need all at the same time. Have you ever, no one's read this book. There's this book called Ecotopia, and it's written by this guy named Ernest Collin Bullock.
No, I've read Dinotopia, which is where dinosaurs live with people in libraries.
Okay, not the same thing.
Probably a better book, though.
Well, it's this book. It was written in 1975, and it takes place in the year 2005. And the premise is, what would happen if Washington, Oregon, and Northern California secede from the Union and create like their own state? But it's like I'm gonna tell
you, Washington. What are the states you said?
Washington, Oregon, and Northern California.
Now, those three states, that is definitely the number one exporter of sad guys with Civil War ghost beards playing acoustic guitars.
Right. Well,
that's the main economy of those states.
Well, so imagine if the economy, though, was based off of sustainability. So the guy who is the protagonist in the story, he is a journalist from the New York Times, and he's the first like American citizen to enter Ecotopia since it secedes from the Union. So half of it's like journal entries and half of it's like newspaper articles about how they'd like break down the inner workings of the society and like how everything works and runs, from like education to like healthcare to the economy to like reproductive services and just literally everything. And
it's like a socialist sort of nationalized kind of state.
Yeah, but I mean, the way that he writes it, it's like, okay, this is what makes the most sense. So it's like, I can't really explain it as well as he can, but I know that there is a way for us to turn sustainability into like an economy based on sustainability.
You know, sometimes I think about like my ideas for like, how can I, you know, help the world or run the world? Then I go, listen, I'm a poorly educated, very ignorant person with no experience who will say vaguely racist things if he's allowed to talk. There's no way someone like me could be elected to power. There's no way someone like me could ever become president of the United States of America. That was a roast. I just roasted Drumpf. Got him. He just resigned. I just checked my phone, actually, because of that roast I did on this podcast.
Tight.
I don't know, man. I got to tell you, this is the weirdest episode of Chapo Trap House I've ever listened to right here. This one is crazy.
So tell me about that time you got arrested.
Oh my God, the time I got arrested.
Yeah, let's talk about it. You listened to the podcast. That's so crazy.
I do listen to the podcast.
I mean, I'm honestly so genuinely grateful and like flattered. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I listen to the podcast at the gym. So
I have a joint for you and anyone else who listens, or acid.
It was my great joke. The joke is I listen to the podcast at the gym. I've listened to 3.5 minutes. You like that? That's good. It's a real like Borscht Belt joke. I'm gonna be in Rochester, New York. I do listen to the podcast. I like the podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm always driving and running and all that shit. And it's
a good time to listen.
Yeah, it always makes me feel very like sort of both envious of your life, because definitely when I was like 16, the notion of sort of this, what you kind of portray as like in this badass rebel life, you know, it's like, and then we had a bunch of money and me and my boarding school friends went to Amsterdam and got fucked up for 2 weeks. And I was like, one time I watched the entirety of the X-Files on VHS. That was very exciting for me.
Yeah. I mean, my life has been unique, but also pretty sad. So, I mean, you and I talked about it a little bit, and for everyone listening, just so you know, I've tried to kill myself like 7 times.
Just since we started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it's been.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm definitely not okay. And I'm just taking it like day by day. So, like, yeah, things have been like cool sometimes, but it's like highs and lows, man, you know?
You know, no one's okay. Like, it was something I was kind of talking about going up here, where I'm sure there are people who exist in the world who are like, I had a normal childhood, my parents were great, and nothing in any way affected me. Like, I'm sure those people exist.
Yeah, fuck them, though.
Yes, and they're all working for Fox News right now. No. And I think people who claim that way are the most fucked up. Like, they are the people who are like, I had a great normal childhood. I was like, oh, you ate a sibling. Like, you are not a human.
You have darkness you haven't
Yeah,
faced.
there's something really weird going on there. I mean, I come from academics in a college town. Champaign, Illinois is where I was raised. I was born in Lafayette, Indiana, when my dad was getting his PhD, although I've been back to Indiana to like do comedy and stuff like that. And
you seem smart. You seem like you've been around smart people.
You know, the thing about that, I did graduate college with a 2.6 GPA. And until I was like 22, I thought debris was pronounced Debris. So I don't really know how smart I am about anything. I consider myself dumb, but because I don't like read enough and like research enough. I look at a lot of Reddit on my phone. So sometimes I learn about white nationalism, but mostly it's just boobs and stuff like that.
Boobs are nice, though.
If someone goes, hey, what would you rather experience, boobs or white nationalism? I have to go with the boobs, to be honest with you. That seems way more fun.
Same.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. I need to get better at when people say I sound smart or anything like that. I should be nicer about that.
No, I mean, honestly, I think that the smartest people that I know are the ones who will actively say, I'm not that smart, because what you can acquire as far as knowledge, like, it will never match up to what you won't be able to.
It the French philosopher Voltaire who said the problem with the world, maybe someone else, but the problem with the world is that all the smart people are so unsure, but all the dumbest people in the world are so goddamn sure of themselves.
Ain't that the truth?
100%. But yeah, I was raised by academics in Champaign, which is like, I'll tell people I'm from farm people, which isn't really true. But like, you know, my dad was a professor of agriculture, so I did spend a fair amount of time
tight.
Yeah, well, I had to work on farms a lot, which sucked.
Yeah, that's what my college was like. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we had like a farm, and everyone who went to school there had to learn how to grow food.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, people don't like learn that anymore, and then they don't understand where their food comes from. And there's like, it's going to sound say hippie, but it's like there's a special connection to like the food that you consume when you grow it yourself. You know?
I think hippies are right. I think hippies are obnoxious and they smell bad. I get why people are like, fuck. But I think it's the same thing when people are kind of like, vegans are obnoxious.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from insecurity, like from the fact that they're making the right choice. Like objectively, vegans are correct. I don't do it. I care about nothing.
Same. I care about lots of things, and I was a vegan, but my body works better with red meat. So, I mean, so I eat red meat, you know?
Yeah. The thing is, I will eat vegan food, but only if a cow is killed. Unnecessarily. Be like, I'll have just a salad, but you have to shoot this cow in the head.
Ritual sacrifice.
That's what I'm into. But yeah, my dad was into agriculture. My mom actually was a professor of educational psychology and studied that.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
She did a lot of tests with me where I'd have to go into rooms and like fill all this shit out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. So that's crazy that your mom was kind of like, okay. Yeah, I mean, I studied stuff like that in college.
Did you?
Too. Yeah.
You probably talked to her. She's also high all the time, so you guys would have that in common.
Yes, me too. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm just throwing it out there. Like, if you work with children and you don't get high all day, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're probably correct. I think because you think about all the teachers you loved, like art school teachers and stuff like that, like old gray hairs. And
yeah, that's me. I've never met a kid who like didn't like me and who I couldn't immediately like get on the level with. But like, do you understand how fast I get fired from my job if everyone knew I was high all day?
There you go, sister.
I'm high all day.
Yeah,
I like wake up and do dabs, you know. But that's like, crazy. Hey, the world is hard. Like, that's how I cope. It's like my medicine, and it makes me happy and relaxed, and like I feel like okay when I smoke pot. It makes me feel like everything is okay.
That's the thing. I feel like I'm not one of those people that has bad times on pot. You know, there's some people that like get high and they're just like, everything's fucking falling apart. I hate everything. I have to be alone. This is a terrible experience for me. I'm not like that, but I've never gotten enough out of it to really like pursue it. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe you're smoking the wrong weed though. I
mean, I've tried a fair amount of, you know, weed in different, you know, methods of ingestion in different, you know, places and stuff like that.
All right. Well, I'm proud of you for
I'm an
working
adventurer.
it out.
I've tried it. I mean, I'm not like I don't smoke weed. I mean, I will on, if it's there, I'll probably smoke weed. And the best case scenario, I just giggle a bit more and I get very hungry and I eat pizza, which actually kind of rules. All right, I'm a pothead now.
Well, that's good because your payment for being on the podcast is a
joint.
Is a fat
and
joint.
I'm gonna fucking smoke that tonight, dude. Listen, I live with my girlfriend and she's out of town for a couple days because she's in Florida, and I'm such like an 11-year-old child that I'm just like, ooh, I just eat all the garbage food and just like get high and watch cartoons in my underpants and just devolve into fucking Danny DeVito and Batman Returns. Just
I'm
the
so
gross
happy
penguin.
to be a part of this. What cartoons?
Not really cartoons all the time, although sometimes I watch cartoons. Last night I watched the Brian De Palma movie Dressed to Kill, which is my Letterboxd review. I pointed out Brian De Palma jerked off 7 times a day during the entirety of the writing, production, editing, and release of this film.
Sounds busy.
He's a busy fella. He made Mission Impossible, the first one.
Yeah, busy.
It's good stuff. Sometimes I'm not really a big anime guy, although you'd think I was because I look like I married an anime at some point. One time I was doing a live podcast and someone in the comments section just said, I look like I manage a failing GameStop.
Wait, so your girlfriend is a real person?
I mean, listen, I don't need society's views on whether or not my waifu is real, okay? She's real in my heart. No, she's a real grown woman.
All right, whatever. I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay. So will she. I don't even know what that means.
So your mom was a professor of
educational psychology.
Right, and your dad was a professor of agriculture. That's so fucking cool. No wonder you're so cool.
Well, thank you. That's a wrong opinion. I'm one of the least cool people. I immediately turned down weed as soon as I came in, and then I took one puff and called the cops on myself.
No,
that was what I did.
You're funny. You're in my group chat, and you're actually very funny, and I like all of the stuff that you contribute, and I don't... Like, I'm in this group chat with, like, a bunch of boys, and, like, all we do is, like, talk about movies and, like, facts, especially, Adam. He's so good with the facts.
Listen, I'll tell you this. I love Adam. He definitely has high-functioning autism, and I think that's very sweet. Yeah. I love Adam. Which is different because I have very low-functioning autism. I'm very bad with it.
Hey, we're all on some kind of spectrum, you know?
My mom sent me to a bunch of like doctors to test. And one doctor said I have autism, said I had Asperger's, but then I wiped and I was fine.
Well, I feel like that's
it was dumb.
A compliment though. I feel like Asperger's is a superpower in and of itself. It can be, I don't mean to trivialize it and say that it's not unpleasant and uncomfortable, but I do think that those people are so special and have so much to offer, you know, and just because they're like, intelligence is somewhere different, you know? Yeah,
I mean, I think the thing is, you know, sort of neuroatypical people, as they're kind of called, are just, it's similar to like, you know, I worked with special needs kids a lot when I was, you know, younger, and they're just humans. Like, some are nice. I mean, that's almost a weird, like, hate speech thing to say. They're just humans, but they are. Some are very nice. Some are fucking assholes. But they're not assholes because they have Asperger's. That makes it harder for them to kind of smooth the edges around them being an asshole. It makes their social interactions tougher to kind of deal with. But it's just nature of the beast. They're not better or worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that was my childhood, kind of going through a lot of weird tests, and I was like very bad at school, and I didn't care about school. I had no sense of like, it's a very weird thing. I see kids now who are like, you know, I have to get this good ACT score so I can go to this college and do this. And I think like I was just kind of very sad and weird. I never for once thought like, what is my life going to be when I grow up? Like, if I have to get good grades because that'll be a good life. And it wasn't even, I was like, well, I guess I'll have a bad life. I just never thought about it. You know,
well,
it's weird.
Fuck it.
You know, I wish I hadn't fucked it. I wish I had like tried harder on things. Probably my greatest regret in life, I've said this before, when I was in 6th grade, maybe it was 7th grade, maybe somewhere between, I went to a coding camp and I learned HTML coding.
Ooh.
And I got really good at it. And I spent a whole summer just building websites.
I could see that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just dropped it and didn't continue it. And that's probably my greatest regret in life, is that I didn't keep going with that.
Yeah, that's such a good job to have now. My grandmother is constantly telling me to learn how to code. And I'm like, look, just because I know how to turn on a Mac doesn't mean I'm like,
She goes,
you know what I mean? Computer literate.
You logged into my Facebook profile. You should own Facebook.
Right. Well, I'm like, I can't even download music illegally. Like, you don't know like how minuscule my skills are compared to yours.
Wouldn't it be great if I was on this podcast for that time I got arrested and I was the only one arrested for Napster in like 2001? I downloaded Metallica's Load album, and they arrested me. Metallica didn't, just they did for having bad taste in music.
That'd be a tight story, though.
That would be pretty cool. People did. There are people out there who got arrested for illegally downloading music.
Oh, God. The world is so lame sometimes.
And that was not me. I was arrested for something else.
Yeah. What were you arrested for?
Well, here's the deal.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, maybe 15 or 16, and this was the summer after I got back from military school, because I didn't get necessarily arrested for this.
Why did you go to military school?
I was sent there against my own will.
Yeah, most people are.
Here's the thing. I was a bad kid who didn't like going to school, and my parents didn't care for me very much. And I was like doing a lot of self-harming and stuff like that, where I'd like cut myself and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
It was really sad.
Yeah.
But one thing though, good for the goth pussy. If you want to get some goth pussy.
Yeah.
If you want to get a hand job from a chick in a Nightmare Before Christmas hoodie, that is your fucking...
Those girls are always slutty.
Many of them are. They have daddy issues, and they'll fucking show their daddy. They'll show their daddy.
Yeah. I was not a goth chick.
You weren't? Well, there's still time. We could run to Hot Topic. Get you some lip gloss.
Well, I always just thought, I thought the goth thing was, a little hypocritical. Because I'm like, why do you hate girls that, put effort into their appearance when you, wear so much makeup, too? You just wear other kind of makeup. It doesn't make anyone bad or good, you know?
That's the thing about the goth thing, where they'll be like, the rest of the world is trying so hard to put on an image. I'm like, I don't know. You're the one who woke up 90 minutes early to fucking put the frosted tips on or whatever the hell it was.
And, all that jewelry and, the accessories and the black. It's just dude, this is a very intentional look, you know, and I am pretty weird about clothing and dress. My mom was kind of slutty and really cared about her appearance. So when I was growing up, I made a decision to be that's not who I am. So I put as little effort into my appearance as possible.
And those at home, you don't know, she's wearing a burlap sack right now. She just
correct.
has a potato bag on.
No, that's 100% correct. I actually did this weird thing in my early 20s where I wore the same outfit every day for 2 years. I called it my uniform.
Hell yeah.
I wore a white t-shirt and jeans every day for 2 years straight.
I don't know why it took me this long, the antidote, for me to realize you had different versions of the white t-shirt and jeans. I thought you owned one pair of clothing and just wore those every single day.
No. Like boys, little boys, Hanes t-shirts. So I just had a stack of them.
Yeah, you had a stack. For some reason, I just thought you had one bag with one shirt that you just wore over and over again.
Well, I mean, I didn't do laundry every day, and I'm wear natural deodorant, you know. So obviously,
I think my sweat's natural deodorant, and if the world has a problem with it, then they're persecuting me. I'm going to live with it. But yeah, I got sent to military school by my parents because I got expelled. The school kind of didn't like me in general, but in a creative writing class, this is true. I'll do my little stand-up bit about it. I'm just going to go into stand-up.
Please, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be great. So what's the deal with grocery? No, I would say that I wrote an essay in my creative writing class about how I wanted another student to die of explosive diarrhea.
Fuck yeah. That's so awesome.
Now listen, this was right after Columbine, so they weren't fucking with school murder.
Oh, whatever.
And it was right after those potato chips with Olestra, so they weren't fucking around with diarrhea.
Yeah,
okay? It was
I remember that. That was bad.
It was, yeah, they went through your system. Not many calories, though.
I never ate one, but I remember I was like, why would you even ever eat a chip that you knew could possibly cause that? I'm like, how is that still on the shelf?
I don't know. Diarrhea kind of rules. You get a lot of time. It's like smoking, where it's like every 30 minutes or so, you get to have a little break to yourself.
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan?
Yeah.
Well, I'm boldly, first off, you just lost my comptroller support because I am a one-issue voter, and it is diarrhea.
That job.
It is diarrhea.
God damn it.
So I got not expelled. They didn't call it an expulsion. They called it an indefinite suspension from my high school, but I was not allowed back.
God, relax. It's a fictional story.
They didn't relax. The other kid's parents moved him out of state.
What a little bitch.
I know, right? I should find him now and go, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
Smack him down, play the knockout game.
Yes.
My parents had me kidnapped. They had...
oh, no. Like what you see on TV.
Yeah, one of those situations.
God damn.
It was not fun. 2 guys came to my bed at 4 in the morning, whatever it was. And the weirdest thing is it was the night of the 2000 presidential election.
Oh.
Which is a weird time to be.
Very ominous. George Bush.
Well, I looked at it later, and apparently the United States of America just didn't know who was going to be president for several weeks. And like it went to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, Al Gore, they had to do the recount. I remember that.
Must have been a weird time for America.
God, that's so funny. My cousin and I, we had to like write these like little like question things on like Christmas ones. And like I remember our like they're like, what do you expect for like next year? And we're just like, Florida wants another recount. Like we were making like topical jokes.
That's cute.
Like, we were super young. I'm just like, I look back and I'm proud of us. I'm like, we were woke.
Well, and that was your SNL writing packet, and you got in, so that worked out well for you.
Fuck SNL.
I don't disagree with that. But yeah, I got two guys came to my bed at like 4 a.m. and they said, "You're coming with us. If you don't go with us, we're going to handcuff you and throw you in the car." And like, I was so miserable, I put up no fight of any kind. I was like, this is a lateral move. Kidnapping's a lateral move. Whatever.
I mean, like 3 against 1. What are you going to do? You know?
Well, it's only 2 of them.
Well, you know.
My parents were involved. And then I got sent to a military school, and I've never talked to my parents about it. I don't care for that one bit.
Wow.
Like I came back, and they didn't let me back at the into the high school that I was at. They would like have police officers there to like I couldn't go.
What the fuck?
I think it fucked me up socially, because I think the thing about high school is like all the actual stuff you learn in high school, unless you're like really smart and going to go to an Ivy League or something, you don't really like learn anything in high school.
Or anything like usable.
No, it's all dumb. In the actual high class itself, but in sort of the structure of high school, what you learn is kind of how social hierarchies work, how to interact with human beings.
Yeah, classism, racism.
Yeah, you learn how awesome those things are. And I, to this day, still don't get my white privilege check in the mail because I didn't learn how to cash it. No, I don't know. I think I kind of didn't necessarily learn how to interact with people.
You're funny.
Thank you.
You did learn, because being funny is a coping mechanism, and sometimes you don't even realize it. I don't know how you figured out you were a comedian. Like I figured it out by jumping off a building, but like I think everyone has that path.
Thank God I didn't have to do that. I just did a couple open mics, which in a lot of ways was worse. Actually, took longer.
When did you wake up and you're like, I'm funny, and like that's how? But I think that might be where it comes from. Is like you don't feel like society responded to you, or like like your culture even responded to you in like a positive way. So it's like to turn other people's like mood, to make someone laugh, to like make light of a situation, to like be sarcastic and make a joke. Like that is like a coping mechanism that is so fucking cool. Everyone should just be funnier.
See what happens. I'll tell you this. This is a true story. When I was like less than 10, I was really young. Me and my mom went to New York City to go visit my aunt who was living there. And actually me and my mom stayed at the World Trade Center. There was a hotel in the World Trade Center.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I famously, as I was 9, I just was leaving and I walked by, a couple Arab guys, and I famously turned around and said, "You don't have the balls to do anything." That's not true. It's a dumb joke.
God.
Dumb joke. But we did stay at the World Trade Center. And the point is, we went to Caroline's Comedy Club. And I was 9 years old. I don't know how the hell we got in. I've asked my mom, how did you get me in? And she was like, I don't know. It wasn't hard. Whatever the fuck that even means.
Grease some wheels.
Probably.
Grease some palms.
That's what it was. I said, I'll give you half my lunch money. And I saw the feature was Patrice O'Neal and the headliner was Jeffrey Ross. It was crazy. And I remember Patrice O'Neal just did crowd work the whole time. And to me, it just blew my mind. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I left, and my mom turned to me and said, if you're a comedian when you grow up, I'm going to be okay with that. That's what she said.
Aww.
So that really makes it even worse that I failed at being a comedian.
What do you mean you failed?
People didn't like me. That's the thing. You don't know the Chicago comedy scene well enough. I was not well liked when I did comedy. I was generally disliked.
That's weird. You're very likable.
I think I'm the most likable person I've ever met.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even disagree with that at all. And I really like my boyfriend. So it's like...
I get it. I like Jared Kushner too. I hope he's the next president. Thank you. It's nothing terribly interesting. Comedy, all sort of social scenes. And I think part of it is since I didn't understand high school. People talk about sort of, a comedy scene or whatever as being like high school.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably right, but I didn't really experience high school. So I think I didn't get a lesson in how to sort of deal with cliques and how to deal with envy and all that kind of stuff. And so I was kind of nasty to people on Facebook and things like that. And I was blacklisted from all the comedy shows, and it really sucked. But yeah, so I got sent to military school. I got sent to Ascent. And to be fair, it wasn't run by the United States military. I refer to it as a military school just to kind of like, because it was designed to be like the military and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people kind of understand that, but it wasn't technically run by the military. It was Ascent Academy in, it was like at the border of Idaho and Washington in the woods. It's been closed down now for child abuse.
So it's like a boarding school for bad kids. I went to, I went to 2 different schools, and one I really liked and was like good. And then the other one, like the first one I went to my freshman year of high school, I went to a boarding school for bad kids for like 6 months, and it fucking sucked.
Was it here in Illinois?
Yeah. Okay. My grandparents sent me there. And I had to, it was like for kids who had like substance abuse problems, but at that point, I had never like drank or smoked or anything.
Well, that's one of the craziest things about being in military school is like, I was not like a bad kid. Like I didn't go to school, but I was not like nearly cool enough to like do drugs or like have sex or like run around. I just wrote this. So we'd be talking about it and a dude would be like, yeah, I beat the shit out of women. Like I was a serious drug abuser, XYZ. And I'd be like, oh, I wrote a bad story, guys. Waka waka. I just was so not cool. That's why I say I listen to your podcast and I'm like, that sounded cool, man. I never did anything cool.
Yeah, well,
I can't imagine.
Prison wasn't
was
cool.
Yeah, it wasn't cool in the time necessarily, but yeah.
I mean, maybe this podcast will make it cool again because I feel like there is a sense in comedy of like turning your straw into gold, you know? But
yeah. I mean, you know,
that's only if more people fucking listen and we get sponsored. Then I'm like, all right, that was cool. You know?
We'll see. I do like comedy. That's the thing is the sort of the stand-up comedy scene I didn't like, but doing stand-up comedy is actually very fun. I kind of want to go back to doing that. I like doing it.
I'm about to start running a mic, so you can come to my mic.
Which one? Where is it? Throw it out.
With Derek Strong on Fridays at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Where is it? I'm not sure. I've never hosted before.
You should look into that. You should get an address before the first one.
Right. Well, I'm going to run it, and our policy is fuck everyone.
So we should call the open mic.
Yeah, fuck everyone. Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Because there's a lot of, especially like female comedians that are just like, do better, you know? And it's like, don't say this. Like, we encourage you to like only do material that is like appropriate. And it's kind of like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Let silence be the judgment of all comedy. You know what I mean? Like, that we're a bunch of outlaws that are banded together so that we can like say and do what we want and exercise our freedom of speech and like come up with crazy ideas and like test them out and sort of like capture attention in a world where everyone is on their phones all of the time. Like those 5 minutes are the only time, and not even then really, that like you can really just like focus on one thing and have people like pay attention to what you're saying, you know, like really just what you're saying.
Yeah. And the thing I always kind of liked about sort of in comedy, a concept I always liked was fucking with the squares. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The uptight squares. And the problem is that the uptight squares have invaded comedy. And listen, I'm going to be the guy who sits here. I'm not saying political correctness, quote unquote, destroyed comedy, because that's a completely misused term.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Completely misused. Because nothing is just people talk about political correctness in terms of like, how dare this person dislike what I said? And I'm like, no, that's the whole point of saying fucked up shit is pissing off the kind of people who would get upset when you say fucked up shit. So if like someone's
making it funny, you know?
Who cares about funny? Just say terrible things regardless of context. Don't make them witty.
Right. I think that's hate speech though. When it's a joke, when you're joking because it's absurd, because what you're saying is absurd and you know it's absurd because you're making a joke.
But that's the point. Even if someone is saying hate speech, which I don't think someone should do, but you're allowed to do it. You're not necessarily allowed to do it on any sort of platform. If someone owns their own private platform, you're not allowed to exhibit it, but you can say whatever you want. You just have to live with the consequences of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you go up and you say, you know, whatever nonsense you want to say, you can say it. And I will fight very hard for everyone's right to say that kind of thing. I really do. But someone might come up and just punch you, and you got to deal with that, dude.
Or people will just be quiet and say nothing to you, which I feel like is its own kind of punch.
Yeah, maybe. That's true. That's the worst, is just like eating shit. I remember maybe this was the first road gig featuring I ever got, but I was featuring at the Looney Bin in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I go up, I tell my first joke, and there's dead silence. And a guy in the front row just goes, "What?"
Oh, God.
And I said, this is going to be rough.
Oh, yeah.
But I haven't even said how I got arrested yet. I got to tell you that.
Yeah, I'd like everyone else to know.
So,
because it's a weird and kind of cool story.
It's kind of crazy. So I got back from military school for like the summer, right? And I was driving around with some friends, and we were like, we're going to make a movie. Like, I got my little, Super 8 video camera. Oh, I don't even know what the movie would have been. I don't remember the title or plot or anything, but it was going to be some, sub Tarantino fucking knockoff that a 17-year-old's making in Central Illinois. So
I love it. That's so cool.
Would have been very edgy.
Very ingenuitive of you.
Yeah. And then we went to go get like a fake toy gun. I wanted to get a fake toy gun for the movie.
Where'd you get it from?
I got it from, I think, Meijer, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. I know that store.
Yeah, I got it from a Meijer on North Prospect in Champaign, Illinois, because I was
right.
definitely on Prospect Avenue when this happened, right?
It sounds very cinematic, just so you know. The scene that you're painting.
I did it in widescreen with Hans Zimmer doing a score just in the backseat of the car. He had one cello and he was doing the score live. But I was driving, and in the car with me was, in the front seat, was my friend Lotan, who was from Israel, as a matter of fact. So he was sort of Middle Eastern looking. Uh-huh. And this was before 9/11, so it wasn't like, the police and everyone was real shitty to Middle Easterners, but not as bad as it was going to get later.
Right. Well, I was just going to say that bias has existed for a long time, and 100%. It was just reinforced,
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Also, 9/11 was an inside job. But
you think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. But that guy, my Israeli friend Lotan, was in the front. And then in the back was my black friend, Matt, who was from East St. Louis. East St., as they called it.
Killer. Sounds very safe. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun for him growing up. We were all just like nerds. None of us were terribly tough. But I'm driving down the street in, Central Illinois, and I've got my little stupid toy gun just like hanging out the window. Like I've, got my arm hanging out the window holding the gun. And we hear cop sirens going off behind us.
Wait, and you guys are filming?
We're not even filming. We're just coming back from buying the gun as a prop to be used in a scene we were going to film later.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
We weren't even, oh God, if we had been filming, that would have been, all of a sudden I would have been like a rap superstar filming me getting arrested. There was no world star hip hop at the time.
Well, I feel like it would have been easier to explain if you had a camera.
Yeah, I mean, we had it. I don't think they would have listened to it. They were not great. Cops are bad. I think that, because I don't think necessarily like police individually are bad. I think overall,
disagree.
I'll tell you this. If you look at person by person, I think a cop has a higher chance of being a shitty person because of the kind of human being that would be attracted to this job.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, something like that. But it's not even so much about like the individual person, because I'm sure there are plenty of police officers just like, I don't know, I just want to do my job and go home. It's the system they work within. It's the training they receive. It's all of that is really the evil. Like there are asshole cops, whatever, who cares? Assholes are assholes everywhere. The real problem is the militarization of a mentality of sort of arrogance. People call it white supremacy, which is true, but really just this arrogance.
I agree with you, but I also feel like the police and authoritative forces are like designed to pick people that have that sort of like asshole vibe.
I think so.
Because it like gives off a sense of authority. And I think that the police officers face a lot of pressure to sort of conform to like the brotherhood of blue. It's like we're all in it together. We're going to cover up for each other. We're going to do whatever we want. We are the law, and what we say goes, and it's all their discretion in those individual moments. A lot of girls that I would meet in jail and in prison were arrested for prostitution, and I'm not even kidding you. I have never not once, and I've met maybe 50 to 75 women who've had this same experience where a police officer will fuck a prostitute and arrest her after.
Don't do that.
But that's what they do, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they fucking do.
No, cops suck. If you have, I think that, the kind of person who would want to be a cop naturally has some tendencies towards being an asshole.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden being handed a gun and a bulletproof vest and being told that you are a soldier in a war against the underclass is going to make you even worse. Ugh. And these cops are assholes. And so they saw me, and maybe they even saw like the black guy in the back and they saw Lotan up front, and that's a big reason why they pulled us over. I don't know. Even though I was the one holding the gun.
Doesn't matter though. It's like you're with them, so like you're an abolitionist, so like you're also at fault. You know what I mean?
Probably. And so there was like 4 cop cars. They all had their guns out, and they were like, "Back the fuck up, motherfucker!" Like you can tell all little small town shitty cops like
I've been waiting for this their whole life.
They just every night they go home and they jerk off while they play Lethal Weapon on a loop, and they go, "Someday it's gonna be me," and then they finally come.
Yes,
that's the only thing. Yeah, they watch Rambo and root for the cops. They get all the wrong fucking messages from everything.
Why are they like that?
Oh God, because they're impotent. militant little small dick fucks who like couldn't get into the military. They had their legs were too fucked up.
Yeah.
And they have a high school education.
Yeah, not smart enough, too fat. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and as a stupid person who's also fat myself, my culture is not your prom dress, okay?
Hey, you're neither of those things,
well,
okay?
Thank you. I've been doing push-ups this entire podcast. But yeah, the cops had like 4 cars and they all had their fucking guns out. They're like, back up, motherfucker, back up, back up.
It's like, relax, okay?
Yeah, and they like got me and they handcuffed me and they slammed me in the car. And then like the guy takes out my wallet. And I remember I had because I was going to community college classes over the summer to like help. Because since I had been sent to military school, I didn't get enough credits to graduate. So if I wanted to graduate in time, I had to take summer school classes at a community college that also counted for high school credit. It was a whole convoluted thing. But he takes it out. He's like, oh, college boy, you're smart. Not so fucking smart now, are you, motherfucker?
Oh, my goodness.
They were terrible. And of course, they were not nice to me. They were very shitty to me. They were significantly nicer to me than they were to the other 2 people in the car.
Wow.
Yeah, they like threw them around. Like Matt, the black dude, they like straight up just threw him to the fucking ground. Lotan, they shoved in the back of a car. And
that breaks my heart.
They were terrible, man. They were shitty people. And then like they found a toy gun and they ended up like all they could do was give me a ticket for like $200 for like disturbing the peace or some shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it was nonsense.
Wow, that is dumb. So what happened with the ticket? Did you have to go to court or anything?
I didn't go to court. I just paid it, I think, if I remember correctly. I just,
Did your parents pay it or did you pay it?
I paid it. I had a summer job. I was a camp counselor.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
What a weird life I led. But I was a camp counselor, and so I paid it myself.
And that was it. And then your record got wiped clean and you haven't been arrested since.
I have not been. I mean, I've been pulled over and like I've driven drunk, which you should not do. I should not have ever done that.
Well, you can drive a little drunk and be fine though.
Yeah. And listen, kids, if you can get one message from this podcast,
not too drunk, like relax, take an Uber. Like we live in the future, but like
that's a good point.
You could be like a little drunk and be fine.
I mean, I tell you this, I've driven drunk a lot and I have never killed anyone that I'm aware of. And that's an important thing to know.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. But, I've been like pulled over from cops for bullshit things before, but I've not been arrested or anything up to that since then.
Dude, up top. That's great.
Boom.
Killing it.
Oh, we got it. I'm very lame. Yeah. So I guess that was my getting arrested story. And then the next day I tried to call Lotan's house and his mom just answered the phone and was like, we are very disappointed. And this is kind of becoming hate speech and I'm impersonating his mom. But she said.
She was Israeli.
She was, yes. And she said, we're very disappointed in you for doing this to Lotan and like was super pissed at me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get to hang out with him more? Or did your friendship kind of fall apart because of that?
That's a good question, actually. We kept hanging out, and he used to like roast me more than anyone. Like we'd all roast each other, and he would roast me the most. Fuck this kid. I'm remembering it now. But he actually eventually went back to Israel to join the Israeli army, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, because they have to when they hit a certain age. Yeah.
Now he if he had stayed, because he was explaining to me once, if he had stayed in America, it would have been like technically against the law, but they wouldn't have like sent police to arrest him or anything. He just would have been here. But he was like, I'm going to do it so I can be like a pilot.
Did you guys ever make your movie?
We didn't ever finish it. No, I finished a few other little short films and stuff like that are a lot of fun. None of them are available in the world. I don't know where they are. Yeah. My story, man. It's so far of all the people you've talked to, is it the lamest getting arrested story?
No, not even a little bit. That's actually one of the cooler ones. But most people's stories aren't that cool, just because most people are like not damaged and crazy, Yeah,
maybe they just haven't fully embraced that yet.
Not yet, but I'm looking out for some wild stories. So if you're listening and you have a wild story, please get in touch with me and let's talk about it,
What would you like to plug?
This podcast.
This podcast? If you're currently listening to this podcast, I recommend you download that time I got arrested.
No, if you're listening though, if you could do me a favor and if you could get someone else to listen, I actually don't care if they listen to the podcast at all. But if you could just like push play on your phone, preferably if you have an iPhone, because I would really like to get a sponsor so that I could eventually get high for a living. So if you could just tell someone else to push play, then hit me up on social media and I will give you free drugs.
Steal someone's phone. Jailbreak it, open it up, download the podcast, return it to them. Do that enough. We're going to be bigger than Joe Rogan.
Hey, Hey, man, grassroots. That's how we get it in.
All
So you have a podcast.
I do.
Let's tell people about it so they can listen to it.
So I got a couple things that I'm doing out in this world. My podcast is called Adult Films with Collin and Ron. And it's a podcast with myself and Ron Irvin. And we
also in our group chat.
He is. He's a great communist friend of mine.
Same.
We talk about movies, everything about movies.
Yeah, I'm a commie friend of yours too, and Ron's.
You're a commie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm an anarchist commie.
I always thought those things were kind of antithetical to one another, but there's a lot of people who share that.
Nah,
so.
I'm chill. I'm chill about
That's
it.
good. That's good. A lot of communists not terribly chill. Maybe they shouldn't be. There's a lot of serious things out there.
Communism would work if people were just chill about it.
Well, I can think of no evidence to go against that. So I do the Adult Films podcast, which is kind of just stupid and dirty and poorly recorded. And I'm in a band called Titty City, TITTYCITTY. We play stupid, dirty music. I do stand-up sometimes. I'm on Twitter at COLLINABULLOCK on Twitter.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks. You're great.
Thanks for having me. This is a lot
I
of
know.
fun.
It's so great to meet you in real life.
I know.
I mean, I know same place, same time, but like to sit and like, we walked around Target and, told each other secrets. So.
And now we're very close, and I'm going to need to borrow some money. So if you have any, it'd be great.
Yeah, that's chill.
Yeah, very chill. Communism.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Bon voyage.
Bye.